This is a brief video demonstration of 7 specific areas related to web accessibility. These areas are considered to be the easier fixes on a given website that go a long way to improving accessibility. There are several other accessibility issues to consider which are beyond the scope of this video demonstration. We'll be using the Accessibility University website, which is a fictitious site that provides an example of an inaccessible and accessible page. These 7 areas that this video is going to be focusing on are referenced in the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, also known as WCAG 2.0. This is an internationally recognized set of web accessibility standards. Number 1, color contrast. Simply put, color contrast is defined as the difference between two colors, typically the foreground and background colors in this case. Improving color contrast between text and background colors benefits everyone, and it's especially important for people with color blindness and visual impairments that require higher contrast. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG 2.0, requires a contrast ratio of 4.5 to 1 for normal size text and 3 to 1 for large text. Several free tools also exist that allow a person to quickly determine the level of contrast between text and background colors. In this case, we'll be using the Color Contrast Analyzer by the Paciello group. Alright, I am on the Inaccessible page now, and I'm going to open up the Color Contrast Analyzer tool. And this is actually a highly visual task that I'm going to be carrying out here. And I'm going to be using the eyedropper here to test the colors, specifically on these drop-down menu items. Visually, I can determine that it's weak contrast, but I have nothing quantitative to determine that. I have no numbers to assign to the level of contrast. So what I'm going to do is take the eyedropper here, and I'm going to land on the color of the text here. And then I'm going to take the second eyedropper here and land on the background. And we can tell we have a contrast ratio of 2.03 to 1 approximately. And then below we can determine that it fails WCAG 2.0 level AA. It fails AAA as well, but we're going to be focusing on level AA primarily here. Now I'm going to move to the what's considered the accessible web page, and once again I'm going to take the eyedropper and place it on one of the colors here, and then take the background color, and it has passed. It's 4.81 to 1. So although it visually it may not look like a huge difference, when we look at the color schemes here from the inaccessible website to the accessible website, for someone with low vision or difficulties with color contrast, that can make a very large difference. Alternative text, also known as alt text. Applying alternative text to images, including the logo and any images that convey meaningful information and functionality, allows people who are blind and rely on screen readers to better understand and navigate through the contents of a page. The text should be functional and provide an equivalent user experience while being brief and descriptive as well. Alright, I have JAWS running, which stands for Job Access with Speech. It is the most commonly used screen reader, specifically in the educational and employment arenas. So once again, I am on the Inaccessible website, and there are a few different ways I could navigate through the images or graphics. What I'm going to do is list these in a list box, and again, this is the Inaccessible website.
Select the graphic dialog. List 1, list view. Images / 123,400,000.
Okay, I silenced JAWS. So we have a list of several graphics here, very nondescript for the most part. We have
images / arrow - left.
Images / arrow - left. Obviously, if you can see the screen, you could surmise that that refers to the left arrow for the carousel. Someone who's blind would have no idea.
Images / horizontal line graphic.
Horizontal line graphic, so no idea what that might refer to.
Horizontal line graph. Horizontal images slash captcha.
Okay, images slash captcha.
Create image.
So very nondescript alt tags here, and many of which are completely unnecessary as images. So what it's doing is actually drawing from the image name itself rather than the alt tag.
Escape.
Now let's go to the accessible page.
Accessible university demos.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up the graphics again.
Select the graphic dialog. List 1, list view. Accessible university. 1 of 3.
Okay, silence JAWS. I'm going to move this aside a little bit so we can see the image that's displayed. So the first graphic that's labeled is Accessible University. That's excellent. We've got the logo on the top, which is also has the equivalent alt tag. And this is very interesting. This is well done.
Robot with a friendly face, assembled with various scraps of hardware and mounted on an old desktop speech synthesizer.
Okay, very succinct, but it just very effectively described that image in the carousel that we're looking at. You may recall that the previous inaccessible page we looked at had no description such as this. So we only have 3 images that have been labeled here with alt tags. The rest of the images really were not relevant for a screen reader user. It can very quickly get into information overload, and unless it's meaningful and contextual for a screen reader user, it's just information overload and unnecessary details that they would need to navigate through. Effectively labeled links. So several assistive technology applications, such as screen readers, have the ability to generate a list of links on a web page in a separate window or dialog box. This allows people who are blind to quickly and easily explore all of the available links on a page. Meaningful link text is also beneficial for people who choose to tab from link to link. Links such as read more or click here are commonly used link text used on many websites, and they make perfect sense when they're seen visually in the context of their surrounding text and images. However, when a person who is blind accesses these same links using a screen reader, they're contextually meaningless since the links provide no indication of what they actually refer to. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that now. So we are on the inaccessible web page, and I'm going to list all of the links on this page now.
Links list dialog. Links list view. About 1 of 11. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
So some of the links are useful, such as academics, admissions, visitors, but like I referred to earlier, the click here links are not contextual in this list box.
Admission, visitor, used click here.
And not only is click here not contextual, but we have duplicate links here as well, which makes it all the more inaccessible.
Click here, click here. Creative Commons license, click here.
Okay, so simply relabeling those links to be more meaningful and contextual would go a long ways to making this site more accessible. Let's go to the accessible web page now.
Links list dialog. Links list view. Academics 1 of 8.
1 of 8. So these are all contextually labeled.
Students list of it in cheat sheet. Create.
So that a blind person using a screen reader can very easily access the links and determine what they're referring to. Effective use of headings. Headings are frequently used for stylizing the page, which would be better done using CSS or cascading style sheets. People who are blind are therefore not provided with the same hierarchical structure of the page that the visual layout represents. Effectively marked up headings are one of the critical methods that a person who is blind uses to navigate a web page. Text that is formatted by increasing its size and making it bold should never be considered a true heading. Headings in HTML, such as the H1 through H6 tags, should be used to describe structure, not to stylize a particular caption for a block of text. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. If we look at this page, we have several what appear to be headings. Welcome, can you spot the barriers, AU enrollment trends. They appear to be headings, but they are actually not. And I'm going to try to list all the headings on this page.
No headings found.
So for a screen reader user, there are absolutely no headings found on this page. So when they land on welcome, they have no idea that that takes precedence or is of any hierarchical importance to the text below it. Now let's go to the accessible page.
Accessible University demo site dash accessible version dash Mozilla Firefox.
Okay, and let's list the headings here.
Heading list dialog. Headings list view. Accessible University : 1 of 8. To move to items, use the arrow keys.
Okay, so this is a very well marked up page with hierarchical and meaningful headings. We have headings ranging from heading 1 to heading 3. You can go all the way to heading level 6 if you'd prefer, but that wasn't necessary or the case in this instance. So again, we have the Accessible University listed as a heading 1. We have the welcome listed as heading 2. So this is a very well marked up page that uses headings the way they're actually designed to be used. Keyboard access. Keyboard access is essential since it allows people who rely exclusively on the keyboard rather than a mouse to effectively access the internet. This includes people who are blind and people who have loss of motor skills. When a website is keyboard accessible, it also benefits people who rely on on-screen keyboards or who control a computer through speech, since this input method mirrors the functionality of keyboard access as well. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the lack of keyboard access on this inaccessible page. I have JAWS running, the screen reader, but this same method and lack of access would also hold true for individuals using a computer without a screen reader who are just using the keyboard. So what I'm going to do is simply use the Tab key, and I'm at the top of the page now.
Tab About link.
About link.
Tab Academics link.
Academics link.
Tab Admissions link.
Okay, and I can go down arrow here.
Link visitors.
Link visitors. So these menu items are completely inaccessible for a person just relying on the keyboard. Let's go to the accessible site, and I'm at the top of the page, and let's do some exploring with the Tab key here.
Accessible Tab Main menu navigation region. Show menu keyboard short. Tab menu About submenu. To move through items, press up or down arrow.
Okay, About submenu, and JAWS told me to move through the submenu, use up and down arrow.
News, governance, diversity.
So keep in mind, these are completely accessible, but the previous page we looked at, none of these were actually accessible via keyboard. So a person really should be able to tab through the page and access the important links and elements within that page just using the keyboard. Visual focus. Closely tied to keyboard access is visual focus, which allows you to visually determine the component or section of the page that has the focus of attention. This is essential for people using a keyboard to navigate the page. It is also important for people with short-term memory limitations or limitations in executive processes, since they have the added benefit of being able to visually recognize where the focus is located on a web page. Now I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the visual focus or lack thereof on the inaccessible page. I'll move the focus to the top.
Accessible University demo site dash and
now I'm going to tab through.
Tab About link. Tab Academics link. Tab Admissions link. Tab Visitors link.
So I just tabbed through the 4 menu items near the top of the page, and none of them had visual focus. Let's try the same technique on the accessible page.
Accessible
Again, we're at the top of the page. I'm going to tab through here.
Tab Main menu navigate. Tab menu About submenu. Tab Leaving menus. Tab menu Admit. Tab Visitor submenu.
So this is very, very useful for someone who's using a keyboard who has no idea where the focus of attention may be. They don't have the luxury of using the mouse pointer to click.
Undergraduate.
Page titled. Page titles are particularly important for orientation since they allow a person to know the specific page that has a focus of attention as they navigate within and between multiple web pages within a browser. Effectively labeled page titles are important to users who are blind, since the first piece of information that screen readers access and announce on a web page is the page title. People with cognitive disabilities, which include short-term memory and reading disabilities, also benefit from effectively labeled page titles. So the page title is located at the very top of the page here, and this is an area that actually is relatively well done even on the inaccessible page, but let me demonstrate how this works.
Accessible University demo site accessible version Mozilla Firefox.
Okay, so for a screen reader user at any point they can access the page title, and with JAWS I can do an insert T to do that.
Title is Accessible University demo site accessible version Mozilla Firefox.
Okay, so it tells me exactly where I am at any point. People who are blind do not have the luxury of just looking up and seeing the page they're on, or even looking at the page itself and quickly determining which page they're on. The 7 areas covered in this video demonstration are a really good place to start. There are many other online resources available that provide additional information on web accessibility. W3C's Web Accessibility Initiative, also known as WAY, has published a set of resources that specifically targets web designers, writers, and developers called Tips for Getting Started with Web Accessibility.